in both these teams. Only Team 1 has played it. They've won it once, 7-4. Then they have lost it once for 2-7. So mixed results. Whereas MIBR hasn't gotten to the pleasure yet to actually play the map. So we'll get to see as the bends are swiftly going through. Gotta get those noted down.
Get them numbers.
Get them numbers. I already messed up my notes. There we go. All right.
You've been here a day.
I've been
here one day. You've made one note, and you've messed it up.
And I've messed it up. It does happen every now and then.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess you did just run in.
Yeah, you know, I literally you just call me in now. Like, why didn't you call me in an hour beforehand?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It would have been so much easier for me to go in.
Unlike me, who has been on this desk for at least an hour already.
Exactly. No, totally not a photo shoot.
And isn't out of breath because I ran from a photo shoot that Bartosz, the meme machine, wanted us to do. Hey, here we are in Villa. Let's have a quick look at these bans. Valkyrie, yeah, that's going to be banned. Wamai, it limits the play, but the Buck and the Finker, that is a little bit more of a point of curiosity. Obviously, Buck is a huge drive, especially in the hands of Team 1. Getting in and getting underneath and sort of playing on those positions. And as we said before, these two teams know each other so well. If you were ever going to have the most specific bans, it is always going to be against two teams that know each other. And everybody does prep. But there is a big difference between prep and a big difference between playing each other week in, week out. There's stuff that just won't be hidden. There's stuff that has sort of passed on, and as we all know, the Latin American region is so familiar with each other. They're so friendly with each other, massively supportive scene of each other. They know each other, and that is a Buck and a Finker bet.
They definitely have been, indeed. And it's kind of beautiful to see as well, whereas, you know, when way back in the meantime, when North America and the EU were at the top of Siege, suddenly Liquid won a game, won a tournament, and now this year has been completely owned by the Brazilians, mostly the LATAM region.
It's been a good,
it's been a good year for them, right?
Been a good year.
A good last 12 months. They have been basically. I think they have five finalists out of this.
5 of the 6.
Yeah,
five of the 6.
Pretty
in
good.
A final with them. The only team to break that mold was Empire in Mexico, and otherwise it has been entirely. Obviously, we didn't have the main major.
No, because it was the Six Invitational.
But there was a handful of Latin American teams that were qualified for it. So
for sure. Either way, we are getting underway. The first round, grenades are already being tossed in to get rid of Banshee, just to make sure that later on in the round, they don't have to deal with that utility. But a big worry here will be those mirror windows that have been placed, of course, on the AVG side. Will make it a little bit more difficult to take study under control, and will force you to basically have control from the laundry and from the classical hall as well if you want to deny those mirror windows. Of course, verticality is an option you could go for if you want to get rid of them. Just open it from below, get a ping, for example, that you will be able to guide from, as the main push seems to be coming down on the main stairs first.
Yeah, he doesn't feel confident playing that too tightly, and he's just going to pull back, so he has the double gun stacked up on the opposite side, the Candelas. They go far and go deep, and they need to be combined with a little bit of peer pressure, but the pressure is enough for Falls. Falls back, but the smoke canister. He is a fantastic smoke player, something we commented on before, but he's not going to be any further in this round, taken from that verticality, the grenades underneath. Who needs a Buck if you can just go and take them care of them like that? Lukid gets one back, so they try and swing up the stairs. They've just retweeted. Got out of there before they get anything else from that swing up the main stairs. It's a bit of territory under their control, but with the loose play on the backside of Red, it still has a lot left to do for Team 1 here.
They're on that 4-on-4, Team 1, taking the staircase under control now, taking care of the Goyo shields as well, which will waste some time, but better do that now than when you're starting to struggle. Alamau still below. The mirror windows are only just being opened up here by a set of Excaros, which will give a little bit more freedom into the aviator room and create a direct line of sight as well into the gun vault, which suddenly makes that position a lot harder to play. As KDS is still trying to challenge here on the classical hull, they need a pick here on the side of Team 1. They need to open up at one of these sites to continuously flood into it.
Now, that's the curiosity. Team 1, what are you going to do to try and pull some of these other players away? You've been able to get an early bite, but as we said, outside of that, there's still a lot left to do. You can't just swing into bar and billiards and hope for the best. And as I said, the point of pressure is probably going to be here, top red. Lagonis and KDS get into an exchange with Alamau being the first to actually stop somebody progressing. Maybe they did just try and force their way through, and suddenly it's worked. Lukid is the only one left, but not for very long. Team 1 take a blinding first round.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said they're probably not going to do that. That's exactly what they did. All 4 players towards the classical hall, managing to pick up, well, 3 kills as a result, only 1 being traded out by the side of MIBR, and that leaves us with a very convincing first round here on Team 1. They realized that, you know, they had to push all from one direction. The bar was their best opportunity due to those 4 walls being located next to the door, create some extra angles, which you can use to slowly cut out the side if you approach them from the north and the south. Now, that is going to be the first round for Team 1 as well. You know, they are already favored in terms of group standings, are looking to repeat what they did before. They want to make it to the playoffs, preferably not by a tiebreaker matchup, as we've seen before from them against Cyclops. That was heartbreaking for APAC, but what a story was written by Team 1 that day.
I think that's it, though. It sort of sits as a story. It sits as a tale. And you want to have these retold, you want to have them rebuffed here, and it didn't start so cleanly for Team 1 in this tournament. They didn't have the best go-in against Damwon Kier, and again, it's a great team to be up against, 2 early tournament favourites, but a 2-0, and I think they themselves are sort of like, we haven't quite been able to dip into this as much as possible, bringing it back for better performances, and here, this could be a very important one. Just to sort of solidify themselves as, you know, the top Brazilian team or the top Latin American team from this group, because it's that conversation, isn't it? It's that story. They're the best of this group. Then they're the best of, well, the playoffs bracket. And then they're the best in the world. It grows and grows and grows. Invitational isn't a major, it's above that. It's a bigger story. And for that, you've got to be a bigger team.
They named themselves the world champions after winning the major, but we all said no. That title is only given away during the Six Invitational, of course. And yes, it is a worldwide competition, but these are world championships. And this is where every team works up towards, because it's that 3 million prize pool, as well as, of course, the Caber, the big trophy that everybody is looking out for. And as Team 1 had a very good first start, and it is Neskin now in the basement, looking through some of these hatches, hoping that he might pop someone off guard. As Alamar bringing that Twitch, potentially as a counter, of course, towards a mirror, which is not there currently.
Waiting patiently for somebody to potentially fall for the trap here, as they've got some angles, but this is another patient wait. And that one nets a better result. Rap's gone. Once again, Team 1 have been able to get this opening kill, and that one was entirely by surprise. Just dug in underneath the hatch, caught them on a bit of a slip past, and, well, suddenly they've got to see if they can try and reconvene. But look at this, Team 1. One of my favorite things about them is they never really stop moving. They always keep themselves active. Although they can play the patient holds like that, it's only the work that's being done of the rest of the players putting pressure on, moving and manipulating the space that forces the catch and the kill. Here, instantly up to the top of red. They're going to see if they can get some damage done, by the sounds of it, onto the bedroom windows as well, and they're just trying to solidify that little bit on the statuette area as an angle and an idea of a push.
For sure, and KDS now trying to make an entrance happen as Levy already up on that top floor, but the side is not going to be trophy statuary. It's down in the kitchen, so they have about 70 seconds left to make some work happen now. Most of the gadgets upstairs have been taken care of, but it's not the eventual objective. They need to work their way down. They need to get some verticality on the board now, and it's exactly where Neskin will come in with that sledgehammer, just to try and make sure that the default positions of these defenders are, well, rendered unplayable, or if they might be able to pick up a kill or two out of it, as one gets spotted just swiftly rotating out with an archer to be tossed in response.
Philippox is sort of trying to keep his, I guess, options available. He's moving towards the side of white. He's making sure that he's on that split there down on China too. He isn't quite sure where it's coming from above because, well, that's this side. It's this unfortunate and uncomfortable situation of a lot of soft above, but with those hefty brick beams that separate some of the sight lines from each other. There is some manipulation of the play space to be had, but you also know not where you're being caught from. Philippox is back in. Caught in a drone, back towards China, back towards another explosion above him, but only 10 seconds. And Team 1, they've got to try and find a way to muscle themselves in onto the site behind the chassis. Revealed by the bulletproof, and Luca and Neskin find one apiece. It's a spray down onto the astronomy stairs on the backside. Lagonis is going to see if he can stick it. It's just a bit of bravery. It's one, not quite enough. Doesn't have the second in the pocket to get the kill. Waits for the attempt on the pop-up. Had to. Round the backside, it's suddenly a 3 versus 1 KDS. Trapped in a little bit of a corner. He has nowhere else to go. He knows they know where he are, and he's just going to see if he can stick it. Cannot. MIBR, they battle back.
1v3 retake coming down there in the end, or rather a 3v3 retake turned into a 1v3. Nothing really that could have been done there. They left it till quite late. 30 seconds when the execute started happening, grenade sailed in, but they also took some losses as a result. And, you know, when the bulletproof cam is still up, they know exactly where you are. They know one is out inside of the laundry as well. They know one is a memorial. And can have the greatest opening there, with just a free kill given to you. If you leave it till that late before you actually take the side control, there is, of course, that utility available on the defender side to try and stop it from happening. And that's exactly what they did, just to draw back up to equal score here. MIBR managed to stop that attack from Team 1. Now we'll be going back to Aviator Games. They just won Kitchen, which, according to many, might be an offside. So they have to bring it back to the primaries.
Changes might become a bit of a conversation here as we look to see what gets changed up. The Ying is off the board. It was 6th picked out before as well, and it's sort of that idea of a bait of a play that we've talked about by teams that know each other well, but the Flores is going to be a heavy drive here. No mute. Nothing to stop it apart from just paying a little bit of attention, and you look towards those stairs, you look towards the previous double shield setup that they had at the top of the main stairs and then halfway up, and suddenly you're in a conversation where those, if that's the same way around, might be able to drop them. Then you're looking at the consistency of the Banshees, the ADSs. It's a lot for Alamau to potentially be able to just take out of here, whilst you have some often relative safety, because you're looking at the cross windows from Study, you're looking for the pressure coming up the bottom of the stairs, or 90, or wherever they decide to throw those Roteros. They're usually going to be able to hit their mark.
They definitely are. It's a very viable operator. It's such a good gadget as well. And we heard Alem say it when he just got released. This might be the strongest operator in the game currently if played right, because there is 4 pieces of utility you can get rid of, or you can create rotations, or you can force players out of their stronghold position, potentially walking right into your trap. And as Neskin again using the same grenade to get rid of the Banshee for a later push, it is now Team 1, well, not struggling, but again going step by step on their plan to try and take control of the site and everything surrounding it.
Now, this is where I expected the Flores to make his ingress, drive those drones up the stairs, but it's also Alamau, who's probably going to see if he can try and find some fights beforehand. A couple of C4s in pockets and with those Kaid claws, but we've also got to look at those grenades that might be used in the reverse push.
Mirror window was about to be opened up, but just got denied actually by a Electroclaw that got deployed late, so that keeps them at least with that under control for now. It seems that still the main push needs to be coming down from the main stairs. They want to take control of that, but Lukid has just fallen back to help Files, who was out there already, and this is what you see. That's the zoning that comes in from the Rotero. That forces them out of position. They're now both on the top floor. Their KDS takes a lot of damage, but he needs to continue fighting. He's fighting an uphill battle here and will be taken out by Lukid.
That was it. It was the hold down from inside the site towards the bottom of the stairs. Picked up most of KDS's health on the way through. Alamau had to stop to try and watch it to make sure no one repeats. But in the meantime, he's lost his body on the site itself. He's suddenly in this very tricky situation where, I'm entirely in the midst of everybody's mix. I'm entirely caught out here. It was a fantastic read by MIBR, a 5-1. Neskin, the only player left, hadn't found his way properly inside the building. He's handed a freebie, but at this point, with a minute on the clock, 4 more bodies.
Oh, what a shot.
3 more bodies to get rid of. It's still a very different situation where if they don't want you to have this round, MIBR, you're probably not going to have this round, Neskin.
No, MIBR has just thrown 2 bodies at him, trying to lock it off a little bit earlier, but unfortunately not able to do that. Neskin, able to, or unable to die, seems. Hasn't taken a single point of damage here for now, and he's trying to make it happen. It's still possible. 37 seconds left on that clock. It's plenty of time for him to work with. However, all MIBR members are about to be lining up here. He's going to take 3 gunfights in one go, but he doesn't check the left corner, and Raps finishes it off, and MIBR now in the lead.
That was it. From what seemed a little cautious approach, they very quickly stepped into this game. This is, for them, a standard game. In that, however many times you say it, they know each other. They know that they can sort of set up this mantle across the other sites. It's not the same element or beast as being entirely unprepared, or at least cautiously prepared for every team's approach and attack. You know, they can knock one off, they can brush one off and go back to it, and they know how to read each other very, very well. Trophy stat tree is where we're going to head to next. We're going to finally see a third site with a slight different rotation. Lukid off to a scream of a start here, 7-2.
Yeah, a really good start there indeed. And I just wanted to mention for a while was actually Fowls alone on those main stairs. 3 members on the side of Team 1 right around him, but they didn't know that he was out there alone. And of course it is still the smoke, so if they would have pushed, smoke canisters would have been tossed out and it would have been slowed down. But as soon as the support came in, that's the moment when Team 1 wanted to push. That's when they got locked out and they weren't able to progress any further. And that is how MIBR managed to basically lock off that round. Just pick up most of the kills there, not lose anybody as a response. Now they find themselves in trophy stat tree with a round lead here on Villa, which is historically speaking defense-sided. However, with the meta lately, it's starting to shift more towards equal balance, which means that a 3-3 is not unlikely.
Team 1, Twitch, now in the pockets of Alamau, changes and changes a piece.
Nitro.
Yeah, there's a attempt at a Neskin fishing, but Lagonis has the drone. He's got it fully revealed and... well, it's going to be a grenade or a C4 that tries to hit each other, but they're waiting for the throw. They wanted to see if they could just shoot it out of the air and just get rid of the problem.
Mira was on the bed actually, so the drone wouldn't have spotted it.
Oh,
just have given the sound cue, hey, there is a C4 that just got ripped, so be careful, Neskin. That's exactly what he did. He didn't instantly go for the rappel. He's waiting for something to fly out that window, but they didn't know exactly where it was, so the grenade was not going to be coming out. And what you see now inside of Team 1 is just trying to take control of places in the building elsewhere. You see Alamau repelled up on the 90 window just to try and potentially challenge the classical hall later on if the need is there. See some members out down towards the south as well, trying to take control. And as Reps is the first to fall, it's Alamau that yet again gets a kill.
They've been very good at getting the opener. It's just seeing if they can try and find a way to solidify it. There's 3 of them that have fallen to their favor, and outside of the surprise strike on the double down on AVG, it's otherwise been pretty clean takes here for Team 1. They've been able to sort of isolate a singular player, get rid of them, and then they, as we said, pick up sticks. They rebuild and remodel their approach here. There's obviously the reveal on the shield, but nobody's behind it. However, down the red stairs, as the drone came round, caught it, up the bottom, and they're able to get the trade out at least. There's one more affray and a smoke canister, and Philippox.
Did he drop
How
the grenade?
deep do these stairs go?
I didn't drop the grenade there. I was afraid for a second that he would have dropped it. It would have been the death afterwards. But Lagonis already on the side. Alamau still drops, and that leaves us in a 2-on-2 situation. The shotgun comes around the corner. Fowls picks up the first kill. Lagonis now needs to get the kill, but at the moment he looks away to check Astro. He gets a shotgun shell to the face as well, and that is going to be the loud Brazilians out there.
Okay, so let me give a bit of context about how the teams are set up. If you've not, because obviously there's not a full reveal, everyone is a distance away from each other, but they're in little closed off spaces. So the 2 desks of players can see each other. If you happen to guess by how they are gesturing and posturing towards the Team 1 desk, which is off to their left-hand side, they're at slight angles.
They are.
They're obviously, all the teams are kept separate for safety and regulations.
Many meters away.
But they can see each other. And you know they can hear each other because we can hear them and we're 200 feet away.
Yeah, for sure. You know, when they just started out, you heard the chants, and I instantly thought about the social media tweet about can the players stop making animal noises and just trying to prep here. I felt the same in that case. It was so loud, and it's good. It definitely works up their morale, that's for sure. MIBR now 3-1 up in the lead, are looking to make this a good first half for them. They already have those 3 rounds that we talked about before. They now need to try and find 2 more. Just to try and lock it off as early as they possibly can. I mean, we've had a very quick first 2 games on both the A and the B stream. MIBR is trying to take some inspiration from that book and probably wants to lock it off as soon as they possibly can as well to put them in a better position for groups, because they are at that bottom half of it right now. And, you know, top 4 continues, but you don't want to be ending in that 5th place. That is... no, you don't want that.
Now, one statistical anomaly that I think it's always worth bringing up is in terms of attack rates and defense rates.
Yeah.
In international play over the past year, generally, mixed games, so mixed region games, attacks have been preferential regardless of the map on a general scale. You're looking at more positive splits towards attacks unless it is the same region game where defense has been the shift because of familiarity, because of whatever reasons. Either way, expect to get more traditional values or expectations from the round wins from this game. So MIBR pulling a 4-2 on their defense on Villa, that's kind of standard. A 3-3 or a 4-2 is how it usually goes. So it's how much energy they can build up. If they can push themselves to a 5-1, if they can keep this solidity and keep a handle on Team 1's opening map here, they can really push the mind game heading into Cafe.
Philippux is downstairs using the Electroclaw actually to try and trick any potential Heartbreach that's coming through. He's doing that successfully for now as Levy, I believe, was that a Capcan Trap he walked through? I definitely think so. He's taking quite a bit of damage here, but it doesn't seem like they're aware of the fact that he's out here and he's going to be able to at least spot one, tries to go for the kill, but they've all fallen back already to the sides and 100 seconds left, he still manages to get the first kill, Levy.
Luke had gone, that is a huge person off the board. That is a huge player who's obviously been the most consistent in finding fights and winning them throughout this game so far. Big work on big holds. Is the C4 going to get a catch? Do they have a full read, or is it just a sort of chance? They're close enough, and are they waiting for the first sledges? Nothing as of yet. It is. Well, something explodes somewhere else. Yeah, there it is. There it goes. No blow.
I was going to say, I was probably waiting for Neskin to start working on the verticality, as that, of course, is his main priority. And whilst he continues to do so, we have Philippux hiding actually on these red stairs. He's hoping to find a player that is descending the stairs, but instead it's Alamau that will be on the hunt. He entered all the way on the southern side of the building, knows exactly where he is, and as Redux takes a small amount of damage, it's Alamau that will lock off yet another kill. Team 1 are looking to be in a good position right here with Redux going down as well. And it's 2-on-5 with a potential to lock off this round, as it's only up to Fouls now.
That's it, and he's a hell of a backline player. He is a wizard with smoke canisters, but against 5 Team 1 players that are getting a little bit vocal back. This game is starting to heat up. 3-2. One more round to see if they can try and pull even before they head over to their defensive side here on Villa. And this is one of those series where, you know, you're kind of expecting this intensity, this back and forth across potentially all 3 maps. Great early catch there from Levy onto Luka. Just kept on pushing that advantage and that pressure.
So, main thing to take away here, the previous kitchen one, they left it till the last 20 seconds to really go for the execute. They were way quicker here. They were on the pace constantly, trying to make sure that they took as much ground as they possibly could, as quickly as possible as well. And it worked out wonders right there. You see it. They're able to spare some men on the other side of the building to take care of players that are looking to catch up these rotates late round if they're necessary. They said it's going to be a flawless round from the side of Team 1, and they are now looking to get their third as well. MIBR back to AVG as it has been unlocked. Is going to play their final defensive round for now. There is still the opportunity, of course, they play them in overtime or on the next map, but they probably want to lock it off beforehand.
A repetition of a site that's always been a bit back and forth is one of those moments of, okay, how are you going to step it up at this point? Because the pressure is really on Team 1 here. The pressure is on the team that, well, whether they need it or don't, it's that continual game of we are doing better than you. We are stepping up into the most recent bar raise, which was by the bar raised behind it of Raps, opening up that angle and being able to dig himself down into the player that just tried to storm their way up the stairs. The Ying is back. That's the change towards the tour de force, a form that was able to open this up in their way. Team 1, though, they've also got a lot more width by the looks of it. Levy, he's currently found his way over to the far opposite side, was eyeing up Mudroom, but apparently is going even wider.
For sure, at least for now. And again, you see the similar kind of take coming out from the side of Team 1. You see a lot of players downstairs. I think this time, however, they might be trying to get rid of the mirror windows before, because there is the Electroclaw now that stops them from just using X-Kairos on it. And that means that there needs to be a different way to get rid of them. So you can either get rid of the Electroclaw or just a mirror window instead from below. And it's exactly what KDS is trying to hunt to do, or at least he's trying to find an entry. Pings are coming through. He's looking to find the entry, but he's not quite sure if it's safe on the red stairs or not. So whilst the drone is just, you know, checking around the corners just to make sure no one is hiding there because they lost some players through that, KDS is now holding the red stairs as well. They're probably going to make some noise at some point, force that rotate to happen, and yet again pick up another entry kill.
It's a slow creep. It's a slow guessing game, but at the same time, if there's nobody to sort of stop this vertical play, then KDS is going to see if he can go reverse fishing. There are these holes, there are these chances for them to try and bite back, which had some success before, but as you can see, Team 1 are much more aware of those this time. So you're not just going to catch a player screaming their way up the stairs, apart from you will. Not entirely sure why KDS just blindly went round there, as it was entirely the play that was done before, but this time it nets the kill, locks him off. He didn't even do as well as he did last time in that he suffered. Okay, he was blinded in barbed wire, but it was such a brash move to sort of make there. MIBR, they've been able to get themselves a wicked advantage, and well, it's unfortunately lost on the backside. And this was the creep play of Levy that we talked about before. He went far and wide, and we haven't often seen a singular player of Team One go this deep and this far on the opposite side this early.
So Alam out last round, and right now it's the side of Team One that needs to make something happen. They have control of those main stairs, but it's not going to be enough. They got rid of one of the mirror windows. A player still on the red stairs gets spotted out, but Levy's position now given away as well, and is afraid that he will be pushed as Philippbox actually falls back towards the side now. All four will be on. Lagonis is pushing in deep, gets the very first kill, runs further down towards 90 as well, but falls in the middle of that corner, just waiting patiently with that shotgun in hand. Is going to get yinked, however, with the flashes, Alamar pushes in, gets the kill. A player inside the fall is all that can stop them now for this plant to go through. 45 seconds will soon be on the clock as Lagonis sticks that plant. A Nitro comes through, but it gets sniped out by Alamau, and it's going to be a 1v4 situation. It's only up to Rieder left, but he gets taken out. It's Team One that will be able to at least win that round.
3-3. 3-3 is that balance. 3-3 is how they've been able to find themselves at the end of their map, and I think at the end of the first half of their map, even their opponent's selection, now they've got to see if they can drive it home. It is a good play from MIBR, but the momentum shift just before the turn of the half might be something where it bites them, because they've got to try and find some of the pace, and that was something that entirely Team One started to drive by the end of that. Their ideas got a little bit sharper. Their play, okay, I'm going to say not all the ideas got a little bit sharper. I would still say some mistakes like screening your way up main stairs, but otherwise, it was generally starting to go into their favor a little bit more. Lagonis at the top of the board for them, but Neskin and Alamar waking up and trying to find some kills apiece. That is what they need to try and cut out the big guns of MIBR.
Funny thing, currently, 50% of the opening kills is actually leading to rounds. So what normally seems to be 80% is just stuck at 50 now. Team One had 4 opening kills, only 2 of them have been converted into rounds. MIBR had 2. And only 1 of them had been converted into rounds. From the 3 they have 1, so 50-50. Doesn't seem to be as important as it normally would be here, at least at the first half. That can all change, of course, as we now head over towards MIBR in the attack and Team One heading towards the defense. It's going to be the big question here. How is Team One going to fare against the attacks of MIBR?
It's similarities that you also see, but with those little curious twists. And obviously the Warden is one of them, the operator who doesn't see a huge amount of play. And, you know, you're not really up against anything in terms of the smokes, anything in terms of the sort of lines of a Candela, potentially. It's one of those picks at this point where you've got to see if you can try and make it work in a different way. And it's an MPX and a C4, and what else can you sort of do with it in a game where you're probably expected to be suffering from underneath more than punishing from underneath?
I mean, we've been seeing it quite a lot of grenades being brought by a lot of teams, especially on maps like Villa. 6 or 8 grenades even is not too uncommon, where grenades are being used to try and get rid of these stronghold positions. The same, of course, goes for those Nitro cells being pre-placed, for example, waiting for the push to happen just to punish one player for it. Not something that we have seen too much effect of quite yet during this game. 4 grenades only just being brought by the side of MIBR currently. We do see 2 Nitros on the board for the side of Team One, so pretty even, as I believe these Selmas are being used right here to try and open up onto that fault wall.
Very good break utility there. They made sure that they could pop the pressure onto the shield. The smoke canister will just give them cover as they retreat. They almost caught them on the swing away. We heard some bullets fired just from Lukid underneath, but it couldn't quite get the catch on the retreating player. The grenade to the play in place where they were able to punish their opponents before, but look at this. There's a bit of a soft retake on that staircase. Alamau is drifting his way further and further back down just to see if he can maybe try and take a bit of a surprise strike with some solidity. I believe there is at least a Lucia or a Banshee maybe still on the staircase itself. There it is.
I think so, there is, yeah.
So they'll have some protection minus the shield, and well, at this point you're thinking, well, what MIBR haven't been able to do what Team One did, which was push the utility and then take the ground underneath.
Yeah, 60 seconds are left, and LMR retaking that position might be more important than some might realize, because as soon as we do see Lukid going for those main stairs, he could be picked up. If Files decides to just walk into study, there's KDS and LMR that can both take him out. He has the diffuser, he is on the balcony, and as Lukid is sneaking up on the red stairs here, it seems like the main push is coming in from the landing side, but the diffuser will be carried in right from study. And as soon as LMR and KDS are still in this position, they might be able to just lock off the potential plant after all as well. So even if MIBR are successful in taking this side, they might not be able to get the plant down.
And that's it. It makes it so risky, and it's going to turn into a bit of a game of swing and miss to see who can get the true lockdown. They're trying to force a bit of a space here. They've got to see if they can secure gun vault, but Philippox in the meantime just gets one traded out. Lagonis, a very important take. Lukid making sure nobody else can swing around, smoked up on the vault door, and only a handful of seconds. You got to push now, Thatcher, regardless of what else is going on. Neskin with a C4 over the top, dropped and locked, and it's caught out somehow. They are just able to take it in the dying throes of a round, and a very important push on the backside by Lukid.
I was going to say, as long as they do manage to keep control of those main stairs, everything should be going well, but that's exactly where it went wrong. Of course, the side was falling slowly as well, but Alamau picked up quite early. The kills couldn't be traded out on that window as there was a double jump in there. And the diffuser went deep instantly. At that moment, when the diffuser reaches the side and there's only a man left on those main stairs, you see right here, Raps picking up that kill. KDS not being able to actually go for Files. And that forces them to, even if the kills wouldn't have gone down their way, as they did, they could have at least gotten the plan down.
4-3. And we find ourselves still in this game of back and forth. Obviously, the first round on either team, either time, and AVG is the opener, has been taken away by the attackers. And it's a little bit later, I think, there from MIBR. It took, as I said, a little bit of game of swing and miss. See if you can hit it, see if you can make the connections. There was the one deep dive that started it all off by Philippox getting into sight, getting on and getting traded out, but still, it put a bit of fear in. They waited for the canister before they went for the move. There was the C4 over the top, and if it wasn't down to Lukid getting the push and winning the fight on the backside, then it probably wouldn't have been an MIBR round, but probably isn't Siege. It's only what is actually pertinently on the screen ahead of us, and that is a round for MIBR 4-2-3. Now, heading over to Dining, the exact same secondary rotation that was done by MIBR, the exact same idea of, well, we couldn't quite get that, but this is where we might be able to call home.
It definitely is. This is the opportunity for MIBR to get that 2-round advantage. If they do, that is going to be looking quite well for them in the remainder of this first map. It is only still the first map. You know, that means that, yes, there's a point at stake. Don't forget that, because you need a 2-0 victory to get a clear 3 points. It is not just the winner takes all. We do use a similar kind of system to what we use in the regular leagues, where an overtime win grants you just 2 points in comparison to 3. We just do it with maps now. And as MIBR has gotten a singular attacking round so far, we're headed toward that kitchen. That is the site where Team 1 struggled a lot. They were slow. They weren't quite able to quite nail that attack on the first go. The second one, however, was a lot more successful. But MIBR, do they know something? Do they have a way to deal with this attack quickly and make sure that they can get a plan down quickly? And that's exactly what they're doing as the Thatcher goes off, and now the Selmas will detonate as well to open up the wall. It's at least a rotation on their side.
Puts Lagonis in a dangerous area here, and he needs the rest of Team 1 to see if they can do some damage, and that's what Alamau did. Drifted his way closer to Art, took Raps, and took off that side wing and wind that they might have been able to pinch themselves into. It forces MIBR into a little bit more of a direct approach here, because all of the other bodies were above. They were prepping themselves for a more direct take. There's some toes just around the corner. Lagonis is able to pull away, realized the mistake just early enough. But he's still got a lot of caution to be paid there. With that opening, with that awning, and with that big, deep tunnel and corridor that runs through the heart of this site, it's a bit of a missed connection where you really never know whether they're watching you from the top or the bottom.
Pre-play C4 might be important, but it doesn't seem to be the case, as Files and Lukid will be entering from below, just like Philippox, who's trying to push up right here onto the Astro stairs, looking to find a way into China. But the hatch above is definitely, well, making him afraid a little bit. As MIBR is looking for an opening. They're a man down. They cannot afford the trade game here. They need to find a clean shot. And after that, start a trade game in their advantage. And with only 45 seconds left, there's no vertical control that will be able to help them here. They're all trying to go horizontal here.
It's a bit of a waiting game, but to be fair, they executed late before, and can they get themselves the drive here onto the player on the far side? They get an important take. Reduct to Levy across the side of the site. There's one more, and it's theirs. Reduct, though, dropped out by Alamau on the far side. It's all traded deep across. It is in territorial no man's land inside the site, and that's the danger right now. MIBR, well, they just swing and retake it with guns instead. Nobody could step in to that room, and it ended up being the cost for Team One, who just could not find a way to step up against that approach.
Yeah, definitely difficult there, and I was thinking, I hope this goes well, because there's absolutely no vertical control, but as there were no verticalities used by the defenders as well, like no pre-made holes to stop these entries from happening, you don't need to take that control. It's a 5-on-2 on the side, or 4-on-2 on the side in that case, because there were still some people upstairs, and you know, by the time they rotate back, you already have that gunman advantage. And MIBR, to take the round, they put themselves up into 5, and they see the map point within their reach. They need to find 2 more to put Villa on their name. The map pick of Team 1. That is definitely something they would love to have, just to at least get that 1 point, because they are in that dangerous territory. If I'm just quickly swapping over, they're above Na'Vi currently, who overall has a 79% and in the bottom 2. MIBR currently is on 59%, so they definitely have the better odds here, but picking up a point will be increasing that even further, especially with the game less they have played as well. This is their 2nd game only of the tournament instead of their 3rd.
That's it. We talked about this as a conversation of people who played on the first day. They had a lot of shakiness. There was a lot of surprise results that sort of came through, but some teams just couldn't get into it. It was a big, sudden, loud, boisterous start for all of these teams on a day where you've worked on this for however long. MIBR, starting on the 2nd day. Okay, it's still technically their first game, but there's already numbers on the board. There's already scores in play. There's already Siege been played. And you're just sort of adding to that. You're not introducing yourself with it. And that gives you just a little bit extra to work with and a little bit more to sort of drive on. And obviously, when a team's had a day off, you can utilize that to have your team talk and sort of watch over what other people have done and how you might be able to bring it later on. Here, Raps is going for a slow and steady creep up, straight past the bar. There's a fight on the left. Oh, he barely sees it. Levy gets the opener here for Raps, and to be fair, it's not always gone the way as it did in the previous round. As he said, the opening strats and trades have been a little bit curious.
Yeah, this is their 6th opening now on the side of Team 1, and only 2 of them have led to rounds so far. This is the opportunity to make that their 3rd. But as the main push seems to be coming down again from a main stairs and a study side of it, it's going to be interesting to see how MIBR will be trying to fight back into this round, because they have that man disadvantage now. Yes, they can start opening up with the Selmas, but there is again 2 men down onto that main stairs, and the last time they managed to shut them down cleanly. The question is, will that be the case this time again? No, as KDS picks up the very first. It's really to fall down, trying to make a comeback here with grenades, but so far none of them have really hit someone yet.
That's it. It's the game that has been pretty devastating throughout this whole tournament. The combination of the pings and the grenades, it's well placed and played. And to be fair, even out with the pings, you roughly know where people are going to be playing. You're opening yourself some holes up in there. Well, once again,
almost the first.
Massively scraped, but not quite locked out. And here's an attempt at Fleetbox trying to get their way up. They don't quite trust it. Neskin, with a jammer, has kept himself safe in the bathtub. How aware are MIBR?
I don't think they know. I don't think they're aware of the fact that Neskin's out there. Alamau's also creeping right around the corner here. So as soon as this pressure seems to be coming down onto the bathroom here, there is going to be a bit of support coming down from the trophy room. MIBR is taking fights everywhere over the map right here with the 3 members. They are definitely not given any cards here by the side of Team 1. They're making sure that they're locking off this round because they do not want to be match point down. And as Alamau picks up, gets another kill, it's now a 2-on-5 situation here with the diffuser still onto the balcony. That is what they need to get down on the board at some point. But even then, it's going to be a very tall ask as Alamau just swings around the corner and picks up yet another kill.
Alamau starting to find his feet here on this round, and well, they're thirsting for the last kill. Falls. He stood outside on the balcony, drops 1 before being dropped himself. Team 1, as he said, they're keeping themselves off of match point. A delicate place to be on in the best of times. And obviously they still have their team talk. They still have their moment. They can sort of take a step back because, as you said, the most precious thing here is that full fat 3 points, which you only get if you 2-0 your opponents, regardless of whether you win or lose the series, if you drop a map, you drop a point gifted to them, which in a game where only one team is removed from a group, that becomes a very precious point indeed. Trophy statuary. Can this be the one where Team One are able to pull themselves level? Have they got the ideas to turn this into a win? Once again, we are seeing a site rotation exactly the same as their opponents.
Yes, we are indeed. They're absolutely or completely mirrored. Not mirrored. Just kind of mirrored, but not mirrored.
I mean, it's,
you know what I mean? It's like
it depends
same.
where you draw the mirror. The same listing.
It's the same listing, the same Tron, the same, same choices being made, just not on how the round actually plays out in the end. And I kind of like the Thatcher that we've been seeing on MIBR. It allows them to open up quickly. That actually led them to 2 rounds that they managed to win because that opening was there from the start, and suddenly there's a lot of pressure on the side of Team One. My question here will be, are they going to be able to utilize that as well here on Trophy? There is, of course, that opening in the wall already that provides Team One an opportunity to skirmish out towards that bedroom. And the skirmishing is what won them that last round. The fights being taken all over the map and the gunfights being won by players such as Alamau is what gave them the upper hand. So skirmishing is something MIBR should probably try to avoid here a little bit, because that is what got them the loss in the end. They just need to focus on their execute. It was clean. When everybody starts entering the site at the very same time, there was nothing Team One could do with the players that were still offside at that moment in time. There's attempted bangs coming through right here. Raps is not going to be able to find anybody on the side of Team One, not even an ankle or a single point of damage.
Now as the angles start to get opened up here, round into the back of the bathroom, driven by an Iana that's just trying to see if anyone's there. Lagonis is caught out. They do have an ADS to keep themselves safe. You can see Philippox is rotating around to see if he can try and apply some pressure onto the window itself. No, in fact, he's going, well, okay, maybe he's going back to the window. He looked like he might have been dancing around wine for a second and a deep drive up the stairs towards potentially the hatch pressure instead. Maybe he's not entirely sure what he's doing, and I'm just going to stop guessing. Though the pressure itself is coming onto Levy. He's able to try and drive themselves. There's an impact trick onto the Selma, a close fight. And it goes away from the Maestro. Reduct is able to get the opener here for MIBR, the first in a couple of rounds. And the signal potentially of a good drive here as they entirely flood over the bedroom.
And now to see as well that the trophy is completely clear. Philippox is going to be able to pick up another kill here on the classical Hall/90 window, and that suddenly puts MIBR at a 2-minute advantage. However, Lagonis being close on this corner with a shotgun is going to be detrimental as long as no one is up on that window to put pressure down on him. He's freely allowed to rotate to wherever he wants to on that site, and as drones are starting to flood in, they're trying to get the information necessary to go for the eventual execute. It's Philippox now trying to enter from the art studio. Alamau is still around. It's still a roamer out there, and he might be able to catch Philippox off guard, or if it goes the other way around, that is probably going to be the end of Team One in this round.
Alamau is just drifting a little bit too out of there. Philippox had an idea, and he wanted to move somewhere else because with 50 seconds, he's still got to apply the pressure onto the site, but Alamau, well, he just misrepresented the fight there, and Neskin's at least able to find the first, goes for the second, doesn't quite get the full connection, and suddenly it's all flooding over, finds it though, in and amongst, and Lagonis is suddenly on the split side, gets 2, and what's this? Everything has suddenly fallen away. Fool's the only one left. He's looking for a fight on the far side of the chassis. He is currently in between 2 players, and with everything open, and that camera peeking, he is entirely at the mercy. 20 seconds and the diffuser in hand, but anything he does now is going to be entirely thrown. They wait. They don't want to swing in. It's very late. They push it at the end and pull instantly back. Finds the first. The trade is there, and Team One somehow off of the back of 2 players and, well, a heck of a combination of kills get around.
It definitely is. A 2v5 clutch coming down there from the side of Team One to put themselves back up onto 5 as well and deny the map point that MIBR was trying to chase. And that means that we're at least going to see 12 rounds here to see whether or not we have a winner within the regulation, or if we will go to overtime on this first map right away. And that is something we do often see with teams from the same region. They know each other through and through. It is totally not uncommon to see 12 rounds or even more than that every single map. And as we're heading back towards the dining in the kitchen, they continue with the rotation that was being pulled up by MIBR before as well.
It's so close. And I think that's the thing is, both these teams now, these are two teams that have warmed into the competition as well. You're looking at plays like that. You're looking at that confidence, neither team taking the timeout, neither team taking the moment to think that they need to realign. They trust that the momentum and the swing that they've been able to build up inside this showdown is the one that will carry them to success. Obviously, we get to map point, you're probably going to see one of those time.
I was going to say.
Calls. That is the moment to just sort of say, we need to push this to OT. What's the trick? What's the play? Bring out the special book. And let's see what we can run on it.
That's it, right? Whoever loses this round is likely to call that tactical timeout, just to have a quick moment to talk with the rest of the team, with your support staff, just to try and see, okay, this round is important. If we lose this, we lose that 1 point. What can we do? What is the way to stop this attack or to stop this defense, depending on who will win? Of course, as so far we have been following the same rotation. AVG, most likely the next side already. I dare to bet. As, it's going to be EMP tossed in. Files quickly trying to rotate over as well, just to make sure that the Selma will still be in time. But Levy, right around the corner, is actually too afraid to swing it to try and take care of the Selmas. Wants to keep his position hidden, gives them that opening. That's okay, he thinks.
He's happy with it. It does what it needs to do. And we've got to remember how the take works from MIBR here. Before was they were able to get in against this pulse. They were able to get in against that stock side, and suddenly they had themselves really applying pressure onto the side itself. Team 1, sure, it was empty ground, but it was more of a threat for them, and Neskin first to go. Second is KDS, quickly followed by the same gun. Luca is seeing if he can knock anything above here and put pressure onto the remaining 3 players. There's still 2 C4s.
That one is going to be pre-placed, at least not blown up yet, waiting for some form of sound to guide it here as Philippox will just shoot Alamau in the back. And again, we find ourselves in a 5-on-2 situation with the Frostmat picking up the very first victim. It's Philippox that gets himself stuck in there, and as Levy goes over to try and finish him off, just to make sure that they're not going to be able to pick him back up. There's a lot of verticality right now in contrast to the earlier round that we've played here, but this is potentially helping MIBR in this situation. There is only 2 players left. There's 70 seconds on that clock. It's plenty of time, and as their drones start coming in, they're finding out about the positions of these 2 players. As Lagonis is trying to just sneak out right here, potentially go for a roam up to the top floor. It's still Raps that is just wrapping around that corner just past that red stairs here, but he's not quite sure whether or not he wants to help the rest of his team or hold the flank.
It's this sort of uncomfortable situation now because, I mean, they've done a 2 versus 5 clutch before. What's the 2 versus 4? Technically, we'll claim it. When he jumped through into the Frostman, it was around the same time. Here, they've stacked themselves inside, ready to go for the push itself. Obviously, didn't get the wall, and it's a little bit of a funnel, but as Lagonis finds a fight on the red stairs, they're going to see if they can scream their way down, potentially put a little bit more pressure back in because the call would have come. They're not there. We need to see if we can isolate this single player right now. Lagonis takes that important fight against the Iana, loses it. Levy at least gets his, but it's locked off. MIBR, they're sitting on map point.
They have it. Map point within reach here for MIBR, and that is a very important point they are dying to grasp. Of course, they only play that 1 game, so there's not as many stakes in this game yet as there would be on the side of Team 1. However, every point you take now is a point that you do not have to have on the board later on, just to make sure you get out of groups. And MIBR are that 1 round away currently with making sure that they have that point in their bags, and it pushes over towards the second map, which is going to be Cafe.
I think Cafe is a curiosity as well because Villa is a very hefty map, Villa is a very sturdy map, and Cafe is a decidedly tactical map. Cafe is a place where tactics can really scream some success. It can really sort of bring that intensity based on how you can cater and put together and cook a cool idea. And I think that's one of the things that you don't really get too much wiggle room here with on Villa. And obviously it's MIBR's choice to want to go to Cafe based on previous play, and it's a good map for them. But for me, sometimes it turns into a game where Team 1, I think, have these ideas. They have these little pocket plays, and they're happy to sort of juggle operators rather than MIBR's usual setup, which is 4 huge gunners and the singular support sitting back on the side of Fools, who, to be fair, this game has done a little bit more than sitting back, has really been getting into these engagements.
The opening kills are starting to be more balanced out currently. We have 6 on Team 1, we have 5 on the side of MIBR so far, and that shows that the attack definitely seems to be favored in these opening kills, finding those first engagements. That is basically what we've been seeing already in the meta lately, where the attack is starting to get the upper hand. Opening kills, a big part to play in that. And that seems to be the case now as well. MIBR need one more round to lock up this first map. And there's still one more, potentially 2 more to play, so it's not over yet. You'll definitely have to keep their focus, but it's a good start, especially in your opponent's map pick, because after that you go to something you feel more familiar with yourselves, as you've decided to pick it instead of letting it be banned, which is Cafe, of course, for the side of MIBR. And as it seems to be a very heavy south push again, with Lukit down on the main stairs, with 3 on the balcony, or around the balcony of that study side, surely they're looking to flood the side, and that is completely possible. Lagonis is at 90, KDS is the only one on site right here, and as Elamau is flowing back up, he gets the entry, but he goes off the angle and gets traded straight away.
Couldn't quite get the second connection there. He thought there was a little bit more pressure coming through than it was, and suddenly things have got a little bit dicey here because MIBR wanted to go fast. They wanted to try and push that pressure and bowl past the single player. They couldn't quite get it as clean. It buys at least Team 1 a moment to have a conversation, but it's a moment and a minute and a half. It is so much time now for MIBR to build behind what they were able to already structure and put themselves on a mantle just in the range to get that without needing the Gon 6. Has that in pocket and has a moment to try and drone. Lukit is covering that rotation. There should be entire clarity here, and Philippox once again playing the game on the far side. They seem to want to try and find these individual fights, and this one they've decided is 90. There's a Jaeger. It's a constant aggression. It's a tough window, so they're going to be noisy on it and force them away that way instead.
KDS now more towards the trophy side. Neskin still out there as well, so effectively 2 players on the side. KDS, however, has a quick way back in, and that is something we saw as soon as the first skirmish came through and the opening kill was traded out when Elamau died. There was 3 people on Team 1 left on the side instantly, where it was just 1 before, so they quickly rotated around, were able to catch the rush if it did come through. However, we both know that that didn't happen. As grenades are being tossed in now, there's 40 seconds left on the clock. Smoke grenades are being tossed back in response, and Raps is going to be unable to take that position, or at least unable to push that for now. As all the MIBR members are currently alongside Classical and Study, surely the push is coming in as Philippox will be able to pick up yet another kill. It's a 4-on-3. The advantage is to MIBR. It's their game to lose right now, especially with the second one that gets picked up by Philippox.
Now, they're just desperately trying to swing themselves in. Levy's doing everything with a vector that it does. It's a laser beam, but a handful of seconds and a single player is all that stands between this map falling and the build-up. Here it is. MIBR are able to take Villa from Team 1. They are able to secure themselves a single point, but with how this plays out and with the intensity of how this game has already started, you know they are thirsting for that full fat 3.
They're indeed thirsting for that.